Welcome back to 13C. It's kind of a chilly day here in the middle of October, coming up on Halloween, so or as my daughter likes to call it, spooky season. And so I thought it was appropriate to break out the Ghost 45M for this month's NFA item that we're going to do here on the channel. We're trying to make once a month, at least one NFA item a month, and this is it for the month of October. Anyway, it's a Ghost 45M, as I mentioned, and it is a modular silencer. That's where the M comes from, and it is made by Dead Air. So you're seeing it right now in its full configuration, and if you simply unscrew this front tube, which is right here at this seam, unscrew it, unscrew the end cap and the front baffle, move that front baffle and end cap down onto this, and then boom, you're in your K configuration. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. This end cap, as you notice, sticks out a little bit. That is because it's designed to accept a wipe in the front if you so choose. We're going to get into some of that wipe talk later on in the video. We won't get into it right now. I'll also talk about shooting this both dry with a wipe and wet as well, using water and or some lithium grease, let's say, which makes a great ablative material, and you don't have to worry about leaving water in your can. If you want to use this, let's say in its K configuration, and put it on your bedside nighttime gun, handgun, you can put a little bit of lithium grease in there as opposed to, or some other kind of high temp grease is perfectly fine, just a little bit. Again, we'll get into that later in the video. We won't skip ahead. Anyway, this thing is rated all the way down from 22 LR all the way up through obviously 45, as it would be, as the name would indicate. And you can also shoot 300 blackout subsonics through here, not supersonics, but subsonics, if you want. There are no barrel length restrictions for any of the calibers this is rated for. Be it 22 mag, 17 HMR, 5.7, 9, 10 millimeter. You can even shoot 30 carbine through here if you'd like. Make sure you check the full stats on this before you go and put whatever caliber you're going to put through it, just in case, just to make sure you're putting what it's rated for through it. Overall length in this full configuration is 8.75 inches, 12 ounces. In K configuration, you're looking at 6.2 inches, and it drops down to 9.6 ounces. 1.375 inch diameter, and this is Cerakoted. You have a piston or fixed mount, so we've got a piston mount in here. For the most part, when you're buying this, pay attention. Most places sell this the way it comes from the factory, which is without any mount whatsoever. So you're going to need to pick one of those up, whether it's piston or fixed mount, or they also have a fixed spacer that you can use with your pistons, which is makes it a little more economical than buying both piston and, let's say, fixed mount. You can just pick up the fixed spacer, which will work throughout all those different pistons. At least it should. They may have a 3-lug mount as well, so a bunch of different options there for those. As far as the construction of this can, you have stainless steel baffles in the back here, in the main part of the tube, and then the front tube you are going to have titanium, as well as some anodized 7075 aluminum in here as well. That front baffle is going to be stainless as well. You've got some of those lighter baffles up front here, and your heavier ones in the back, as well as your blast baffle. They're doing their best here to kind of keep the weight down, as well as keep a little bit of the balance so it doesn't get front heavy. A long 45 cans, generally speaking, are going to be a little bit longer, and this one in its full configuration is no different. Earlier about wipes, and about 2 years ago roughly, ATF made a determination that the wipes for this particular can are considered silencer parts. Now, by making that determination, that means that the wipes are now NFA controlled items, and that technically they cannot be replaced other than by the manufacturer. So what that means is you shoot through the wipe that this comes with, and you want to replace it, you've got two options. You can send it off to Dead Air, and they've actually got a pretty nominal fee. I don't want to misquote off the top of my head, but the fee to actually ship this to them and replace it and ship it back, the fee is less than the shipping. So that's nice to see. There also is another option. They have a handful of authorized factory dealer, factory service locations. I'm not sure the exact verbiage, but basically there are a handful of locations from where I'm at here. There's one about 45 minutes to an hour away from me. I could drive there with it, have them change it out there, since they are, and that's the current interpretation. These things change over time. I am not a lawyer, etc., etc. It's just my best understanding of it as I'm talking to you here today in the middle of October. So talked about shooting this wet. You can use any number of different ablative type materials. In the manual for this, they actually suggest a cap full of water, which works well. Now, I also, I think I alluded to earlier in the video, using, let's say, a little bit of high temp grease or some lithium grease, which would be basically a pea-sized amount in here in its K configuration, let's say, to help cut down, especially on that first round pop. The reason why you would want to use one or the other, if you're out shooting on the range, just, you know, doing your thing, put a cap full of water in it, shoot through it, whatever, it's going to have time to dry, things like that. Water is perfectly fine, there's no issue there whatsoever. If you're going to let this thing sit on your nightstand, let's say in the K configuration or in a safe, you wouldn't want to leave it wet sitting in your safe. At least I wouldn't recommend that. Put some grease in there, that little bit of pea-sized amount of grease in there instead, and that's going to go a long way. And of course, with it being grease, you don't have to worry about it doing anything. Yes, the baffles are stainless steel, stuff like that, but still, I am not a fan of leaving anything moisture-wise related in any of my firearms, silencers, safe, whatever. It's just, I'm not a fan of it. So you've got that as well. We did some decent testing on this in the shortened configuration with some just standard lithium grease. You know, the big tubes that you can buy relatively inexpensively. You can use, you know, higher temp, you know, fancy gun greases as well if you want to. But as far as for this, you might as well save some money and use some of the like white lithium grease, let's say. Some of the reasons why you may not want to use a wipe, even if it was super easy to change out. Well, it is easy to change out, but there wasn't the regulatory hassles to go through to get it changed out. Let's put it that way. Wipes can affect your point of impact. So you've got when the bullet passes through the wipe, you have, even though it's just a little bit of neoprene for that momentary, you know, nanosecond, it's still going to have an effect on the bullet, which will slightly change its path. And the further you get from the target, the bigger the issue on it will be. That's one of the reasons why, generally speaking, you don't see wipes on many rifle cans. For a pistol can, you're shooting it, you know, 7, 10, 15 yards. It's not really going to make that big of a difference. But if you're pushing out further than that, you can definitely see your groups expand some. Depends on the quality of the white material, stuff like that. The high temp material that they use in here for dead airs wipes are going to have less of an effect on the barrel than, let's say, some other types of materials might, or on the path of the bullet, let's say, than some other types of materials. But still, there's going to be a little bit of a difference on there, so that's something to keep in mind. We're not going to do any of that testing here. We've talked about that in the past, and I just have the one wipe, so there would be no real great conclusive way to do that over and over again without spanning this out over the course of many weeks, is send it off, get it replaced, come back, things like that. So we're going to leave that for another day. All impressions of this, now that it's been in for a little over a month, is that you know, over the course of the past year this thing was out, it took about 10.5 months for this stamp to come back from the date the check was cashed to the time it actually came in. So that was a little bit unfortunate. We, you know, basically I filed right at the last height. We're hearing now stories of stamps starting to come back 4 or 5 months, depending on when they were processed. They've got some new staff, some other things going on allegedly that's dropping some of the wait times for people who are applying now, which is really nice to see. Anyway, I was a little bit concerned about how this was going to be when it showed up, considering the issues with the wipes and whatnot. Because that was one of the things that I wanted, was a really nice quiet can for the bedside, and my plan is to leave a wipe in it all the time for that, and, you know, dealing with those you know, indoor type situations and distances you're going to encounter in a house. I really wasn't worried about any point of impact shift. I have to say that I'm pleasantly surprised with the way this one turned out and showed up. Overall, I had some concerns initially as we were going along there, just because without being able to replace that wipe, I was wondering just how it was going to sound. Overall, I was pretty pleased with this overall, considering. In the K configuration, you've definitely got a crazy first round pop on this. If you don't have some sort of ablative material in there, a little bit of, like I said, a little bit of lithium grease, and it's going to take care of most of that and make it you know, fairly pleasant to shoot in the shortened configuration. Long configuration, it doesn't hurt to put a little bit in there either. Most of the shooting that we did was on various 9mm handguns. We did shoot it on I think 2 different 45s, and I did well for the 45 as well. Yeah, so there we go. So we've got the Ghost 45M in its full configuration on this Glock 21. Now we've got the Ghost 45M in the short configuration on the Glock 21. I think that pretty well covers things up until this point. Special thank you to silencershop.com for handling the paperwork on this transfer. They make it really easy with their kiosk system when you're purchasing NFA items. Go through the process, simple, painless, and once you get all your information and put it into their kiosk, you never actually have to go back to the kiosk again. It's always stored there, and as you get new items, you can just tag them onto that account. All the paperwork gets processed. You can electronically sign, and then once a year you just snap a picture from your cell phone of yourself, because the only thing that needs to be updated once a year for that data would be your photo, and you can do that from your phone. You don't even have to go back to the kiosk. Makes it really simple. I'll put some links down below to Silencer Shop, probably in the description if you're on YouTube. It won't be in the description, maybe down in the comments down below, because they're horrible people at that platform. Speaking of which, Full30 or gunstreamer.com are great places to follow us. We put videos that we can't host here on the YT over there, and it's also a better place to support those smaller media outlets, so that we have places to host videos like this. One of the main reasons why we've been dropped from a YouTube partnership program at this point as well, after 7 years of great standing. Didn't violate anything, but they're just like, nope, you're out. So why are we still here? We are still here because of the impact that it has on new shooters and folks who are, especially the younger generation, who are just coming of age, be it 18, 21 years old, and they don't realize that things like this are legal in most states. Silencers are legal in 40 some odd states here in the United States. So this is not some kind of item that you cannot own if you live in one of those 40 some odd states. Same goes for a video we put up about the CMMG Mutant being released into a video game, PUBG. There are a number of young folks who were on there who made comments like, I didn't even know that was legal. One young gentleman said he was turning 18 in a couple of weeks and he was going to go buy one. It was going to be the first gun he bought. He didn't even know it was legal. And he does live in a state where that sort of thing is legal. If you're not into the community and you don't know these things, it's very difficult to wrap your mind around a lot of the media nonsense that you hear. And these are items that are used every day responsibly, more so than anything else. And it's good to get these things in the hands of good people. And the more folks we have that own them, the less likely they are to get banned or restricted. So that's why we're still here. That's why we'll continue to be here until they boot us off. So there we go. Thanks again, everybody. Facebook.com/gun reviews. You can also find us on Instagram, 13c.us, 13cgunreviews.com, the homepage. You can find articles and stuff there. We've been slacking a little bit on the articles. You can find some of our articles over at International Sportsman. We're writing for them now. So shout out to them. Thanks for having us. And yeah, the newsletter. Sign up for the newsletter. We're going to have a bunch of giveaways coming up as we enter in the holiday season. So definitely sign up for the newsletter. That way it's cross-platform, so that no matter where you follow us on, wherever you're watching this, sign up for the newsletter. You'll be there. Maximum of 1 email a week. Normally we barely send out 1 email every 2 weeks. As we come to the holidays, we'll probably be getting closer to that once every 7-day mark. But because we'll just have a bunch more content dropping. Any event, thanks again, everybody. This is our October NFA item of the month. There'll be another NFA item of the month. We're going to try and continue that every single month from here into perpetuity as best that we can. So come back, subscribe if you haven't already, hit that notification bell, and you will see another NFA item next month in November, another one in December, and one more in January. We're still working on lining up February's, but hopefully we'll be able to have something for that as well. Thanks again, everybody. Take care, stay safe. We'll talk soon.